I couldn't type while you were talking because everything I was saying needed to be said through voicemail. Yes, absolutely. I have my own fair share of people that I've had to really work hard to forgive. My dad being one of those people who just consistently still does not show up. The reason why I think forgiveness is so important is because it's so weird you would bring this up because I was already having this conversation with myself this morning at my desk. It's like if I choose to forgive someone and I say, I forgive you fully for not showing up how I needed you to, for abusing me, for not knowing better, for whatever. Because the simple fact is, people that are abusers and that are neglectful and that are X and Y and Z that cause trauma to other people, it's always an echoed cycle. So those people, maybe they didn't know any better. Maybe they were raised in an environment where neglect was normal. I mean, like, especially like our generation's parents, like, oh my God, like, they were raised by both the silent generation and some of the early boomers, and that generation was not very loving. They weren't very like open-hearted and had emotional discussions. Like back then, everything was about keeping up with appearances and looking a certain way so that you blended into society, which after a world war, why wouldn't we want to blend in? You know, all those people came back, all those soldiers came back from this horrible experience, and all they wanted was peace, which meant order in the house, and everyone wanted to blend in. The whole country embraced that ideology. So when people are hurting us, it's not usually deliberate. People aren't deliberately trying to hurt you. It's that something about them is incapable of showing up in a way that is what you need or what you want. And because that's the reason why, it almost makes it does. It makes it mean to be mad at those people because it genuinely deeply isn't their fault. And some people are just so wounded and so far down inside the mess they've created inside their personalities that they're almost incapable of seeing what could be different. Like, that's how I feel about grandma all the time. Like, no matter what I say, I can give it to her as plain as day with evidence, and she will still somehow go, well, I'm not trying to be a bitch. I'm not trying to be pessimistic. Well, you still are. Your pessimism is hurting people, you know? So the part about forgiveness is that you release the karma from that person and you take it onto yourself and say, instead of blaming this person and being the victim to what it is they've done to me, I now take the accountability to say, because this happened to me, I learned this. Because this person bullied me, I learned to have self-worth and stand up for myself. Because this person stole all my money, I've learned that I need to go out and make my own way to make sure that I have what I need on my own without relying on other people. You know, you take the wound and you direct it towards what it is that made you a better person. And then from there, the forgiveness, beyond the forgiveness, when you fully do allow someone to be forgiven by you, you also give that person the space, physically, energetically, emotionally, whatever. You give them the space to then grow. But then what happens is that a lot of us, and I hear this all the time from people, and Denise said something like that last night. She said, well, I forgave him. I don't want to hang out with him. And just by her tone, I could tell that she believed that person will never change. And that might be true. They might never change, but it's not up to you or your ego to decide whether or not they're capable, because miracles happen in mysterious ways. You know, you can tell someone something 100 times and they never get it, but then one day they're out of the grocery store and say something and someone else says it, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, that person's not completely fucking bonkers. Other people think that too. And so, yes, and as for your question of bypassing through forgiveness, no. You can't, because if you don't forgive someone and you're holding bitterness towards them, that bitterness is only affecting you. It might affect them, it might bleed over into them, but ultimately the bitterness is only affecting you. And that bitterness that rots inside you will keep you from making new relationships that are healthy. It'll keep you from seeking new opportunities that might have been similar to that one because you see like similar red flags, and they're not really actually red flags. They're like transparent, possible red flags, but we go ahead and label it and go, oh no, that's bad. You know, it's a little different than like If you walk into a room and there's a man with a gun shooting people, obviously you're going to fucking run. That makes sense. But if you walk into a room and someone's presenting a certain behavior or says certain things and that triggers you, that just shows that you're not healed. Because once you get past the forgiveness and you get through the healing completely, then when those issues pop up, they won't bother you, or the bothering will slowly become less and less and less. And eventually someone will bring up the topic and it won't trigger you. And that's when you know you've actually healed and you've become a new person. You've become a new person is when that no longer affects you. And it's work. Because like I said, even just when I brought up the two people, my dad and the student, there's still some residual stuff there. I still have like a 5 to 10% left of healing that I need to pull myself through. But it used to be like 90. It used to be where I would think about that person and they would enrage me, and I would start like seeing all these nasty things in my head of like, I hope that they get what's coming to them, and I didn't deserve this, so I hope they get what they deserve. Like, that's resentment, that's bitterness, that's revenge. And vengeful spirits never find the light. So anyway, that was a long message for a 1 minute. You gave me 1 and I gave you 6. Just shows how much I fucking care, people. I did this for free. And so anyway, I see, one of my trigger right now is there have been some people showing up in my life saying that I should be doing this kind of work for free. How dare I do healing work and charge people? And I'm like, well, if I had a regular job and I was out working that job, I would not be able to present and give the healing to so many people. It has to be my job. This is what I do. And so it's like, I'm just like, what do you say to these people besides, fuck you, go away? And so I get it. But no, you can't bypass it, baby girl. Not if you really want to profoundly change your life. You won't. You can't. It's impossible. It's impossible. So, love you. Bye. I'm going to listen to this again because this is really good.